Hi, I'm Anna.
Hi, Anna.
The truth is that I drink a lot, and sometimes I mix it with pills. And I'm here because I woke up this morning convinced I'd witnessed a murder.
911.
Someone has been murdered. I saw.
They said you saw a murder.
She is batshit crazy.
I'm not crazy. Someone's gotta believe me.
And she has a serious drinking problem.
No. Okay.
You get that knife out of my
Can
face?
you stop telling people that I have a drinking problem?
You know, I used to feel bad for you. But I do not feel bad for you anymore, and I will not pray for you anymore.
Carol. Well, if they won't be the detectives, then I will. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
You a reporter?
Yes.
Then why aren't you recording this?
A Woman Across the Lake. This book could make your imagination run wild.
I need to see inside the bag. The fuck is this? Wherever you go, people end up dead.
What?
I just want things to get back to normal. I bet they do a Dateline on it. What are they up to?
You wouldn't mind answering a few questions for us.
There you go. That's your left thumb. How's your day going?
Fine.
I'm worried about you.
I'm gonna be okay.
Hello?
I know what I saw. Didn't I?
Red or white?
Oh, no thank you. I don't drink wine anymore. I'll have a vodka.
Hello and welcome to the periodic table of awesome. Would you like a vodka? Would you like a glass of wine?
I'd like a rosé. Just mix the white and the red together. That's how you do it, isn't it? No? Am I wrong?
I mean, I don't drink wine, but that does not sound good.
I am a cultured individual. I understand that's how you get a rosé.
Yeah, I'm almost 100% sure.
Don't mind a bit Pinot Gris occasionally. That's how you say it, right? Wine country.
Like, when it comes to wine, are you a red connoisseur or are you a white?
I am a whiskey drinker.
Are you being a filthy fence sitter and just saying pink?
No, I'm a whiskey drinker. When you talk about, it's like, would you like the white or the red? I'm like, I'll have the one at the back.
I'll have the brown.
Brown, yes. I would like the grain alcohol. Thank you, Squire or Squiress. Squint.
So yes, the reason that we're talking about wine is because there's a lot of it in this show. And some of you may be looking at the name of the show, which I haven't actually changed, so it probably says what it said last week.
It says a Nine Mates reboot it, and we will reboot it.
No, okay, well, let me just see if I can fix that at some point in time.
Which is
some of you are probably wondering,
longest.
what the hell is going on? They put on the thing that it was meant to be Cobra Kai.
Do or die. How do we both know that? We didn't even plan that.
Yes. Because you know me and I know you.
Yeah, unfortunately, Cobra Kai. Well, okay, all right. Let's be honest.
just say what happened. Go on.
Let's be honest. Who did the reading? Exactly.
You did the reading.
Who didn't do the reading?
I did a little of the reading.
I watched the entire season, guys. The whole thing.
I know, and you're
talk about it.
better than us, and that's why you're the industry.
I'm not even going to make jokes about it because in this case, Peter is definitely a better person than both of us.
Yeah, we fucked up.
However, I will put my hand up to it and say I did watch a lot of Cobra Kai, but what I watched was all of season 3 in an effort to get up to season 4, and then ran out of time.
So when we last spoke about it, everybody else had watched up to season 3 and you were a season behind.
Yes.
By the time we actually ever come to talking about Cobra Kai season 4, I will definitely have seen it, even though season 5 will be out.
Yes. Yes.
So this week's show won the special award of being the only show that we could come up with at very short notice that all three of us have voluntarily watched.
I mean, there were others. We did discuss a few others. We said,
Sure.
Should we talk about Don't Look Up? And then we all just went, oh.
I mean, look, you just didn't want to go with my suggestion of doing another Jean-Claude Van Damme film in the retrospective. Sure, I get that. I understand it. And
you know what, dude? If you'd actually brought that up, I would have backed you.
But the thing
You would have been alone, but we would have backed you.
I would have been like, you know what? Yeah, good. You do
the
that.
thing was, because we let Peter down by not doing the reading, and Jill technically. No, Jill isn't here at the moment, but she was the one who chose Cobra
We've let
Kai.
Jill down so far, she's gone to an entirely different state.
We thought it would better to let Peter choose what we were going to talk about, rather than just steamrolling her with, oh well, here's something else you haven't done.
Yes.
Yeah. Like quick, go watch Universal Soldier quickly. Do it during your lunch break. Anyway.
Go on, you know you can. It'll
So
be
many
easy.
no's. So many no's.
I love the chat. Like, hello to the chat as well, because you're doing a wonderful job discussing what you want to drink, and that's just making me thirsty.
Lemon bitters for Tari. A cider. Yeah, okay. Moscato. Classy, Chest Angela. Classy.
Yes, we all know. Well, we should be having a West Coast cooler, don't you know? Anyway, that's got nothing to do with anything. What are we talking about? The longest title I've ever seen.
See if we can get it. Let's see. The woman in the house across the street from the girl in the window. Is that it?
Yes. You didn't
even
so
have to read
you
it.
weren't looking that up.
No.
Holy shit, because I actually had it in front of me. So
I typed it wrong multiple times in our chat beforehand, and I think I've
I
nailed
kept
it
going,
now.
the girl in the house in the dragon tattoo. No,
Yes.
that's not what we're talking about. And where's it from?
the woman in the street where you live now face north, eat a strawberry Slurpee while your teacher doesn't yaks to drink French.
And it's starting off well for me because it's a deliciously absurd title.
Yes.
It is.
It's a bit too
And
long.
I think when it first popped up on Netflix, I was kind of like, what? Really? And then, because, you know, when you look at that title, you're like, that seemed a bit clunky, doesn't it? Like, that's a bit much.
I know. Everyone's just like, that is a stupid name.
But yeah, and there you go. Chest Angela hasn't watched it because of the length of the title. It's put you off.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I literally had the same sort of thing of going, that's a stupid fucking name. Okay.
And
then I watched the trailer and I went, you're a parody.
Kind of.
Oh.
I don't know. It's better than I Know What You Did Last Summer, the TV reboot.
Yes, but that was not a parody and maybe should have been.
Well, would have been a lot better. I do like that one though. The other one, the 41-year-old virgin who knocked up Sarah Marshall and felt super bad about it. That I enjoyed. It sort of got almost a feeling of that, like the scary movie or the parody movies, sort of.
Where can you see this, by the way?
Are you going to do the thing, Dion?
Oh, fuck, just do the name.
I thought you were saying that because you're excited about doing the thing.
No, I don't want to do it now.
As soon as he said it, I was like, he wants to do the thing. He wants us to say the name of the network.
Yes.
That we could have flicked over to.
But now you've spoiled it, and now I don't want to do it. And now I feel like I want to play a clip from this thing, and it's just going to be the elf clip. For the
What,
rest of the time.
already? Really cutting it short there. We haven't even had a synopsis yet.
Yes. No, I'm not.
For this show that's available to view on Netflix.
Oh. I don't have performance issues, Chest Angela. Thank you. I can do this anytime I want.
You can do this all day.
I can do it all day. Just like I can do that. Anyway, moving
Where
on.
did you put that in there?
When don't I have a bunch of Star Wars sounds in there?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
honestly.
It may have been when we decided to spend 4.5 hours or whatever it was talking about the book of Boba Fett.
Yes. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is a wonderful show. A wonderful little show that is this one that we're talking about. The Woman in the House. Oh, fuck, how do we do this? How do we abbreviate it?
Just do the whole thing. It's fun.
The Woman in the House across the street from the girl in the window.
Yes.
Right.
The woman in the house across the street from the girl in the window who does the thing and does cheese.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like the emergency services number from the IT crowd. 0188999. Or, you know,
Unforgettable.
Funnily enough, this show does not star Australian film and TV actor Jai Courtney, but it does have a long enough title to do that.
I like that. TWIT HATS FTGITW.
TWIT HATS FTGITW. There we go.
Well done, Predicanga.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed by that, and I like it.
Yeah,
TWIT
yeah.
HATS FTGITW.
It's easier than just saying the title.
You just want to say it every time, don't you? Because you remember it.
Just want to refer to it now as TWIT HATS, which, funnily enough, is the answer to tomorrow's Wordle.
Oh,
sorry. Spoilers.
Oh shit! Wow, god damn it!
All right.
So, what is this show about? What is the woman in the house across the street from the girl in the window about? I hear you cry.
Yes, I hear you cry.
Given we didn't tell anybody we were doing it, and everyone's just finding out now, people are probably genuinely curious.
Yeah, I imagine there's a whole bunch of people going, "The fuck."
Yes.
So, what is it about? Do I have any music for this? I don't know.
Sure.
Right. A heartbroken woman named Anna is unsure of whether or not she witnessed a murder. She mixes alcohol with medications prescribed by her therapist. She has frequent hallucinations and suffers from a crippling fear of the rain, which is called ombrophobia. Anna is ostracized by members of her community, including her new neighbors, and labeled crazy by the police. Whether or not she saw a murder take place, Anna takes it upon herself to find the truth and some ghosts. Is that no? Okay.
Sure.
Sorry, I want to find
That was like weird flex that kind of gives the wrong impression about what the show is about.
Can I give you the other synopsis that I found that I actually really liked, but it doesn't go far enough. So is the music still there?
No, I don't have any music for that. Oh, here.
Okay. After her daughter, Elizabeth, was brutally murdered and eaten, Anna spends many days drinking wine and staring out the window. Her sad days are filled with the same routine, with bitchy neighbor Carol gossiping about Anna behind her back. Like, that's a full synopsis, and I was like, what?
How does that
that skips almost all of the important parts of this show.
It's a funny little series. This is, by the way, because it is series.
Yeah,
it's too long for a movie, a single session movie, and also too short for a very in-depth series. I feel it's 8 episodes, but it's 8 hours, isn't it? I think the hours.
No, the episodes are quite short.
Oh, okay. Cool.
They're 29-minute episodes, so that's like this. It's essentially 4 hours of content all up.
It's a very long movie.
Put it all together. Yeah, so it is enough for one long movie, but I don't think this would work as a movie. It does need the episodic kind of element.
This is the interesting thing. I couldn't quite place this. Is it a dark comedy? Is it a psychological thriller? Is it a horror? It has elements of each kind of one, and it is pretty much just a Kristen Bell vehicle, because she is the main character of this, surrounded by a bunch of supporting characters. So it's very tough to try to pull off. I think it's done very well. I was surprised about how much I liked it, and I was like, "Oh, that's just creepy, but fun, but creepy,
and dumb."
It is an odd one because it is satirical, and the funny thing is, it's a parody of a genre that I'm not into. So, like, I feel like you would appreciate it much more if you were into that kind of psychological thriller. Woman witnesses a murder and then becomes the potential murdery genre. But it's played in many parts very, very straight. And so all you have to rely on to read the parody is the sheer ridiculousness of many of the plot points.
And there are many times where I feel like it's the phrase of, sailing close to the wind. Like it skirts very fucking close to turning and being too serious. And then you're like, oh, hang on, this isn't funny. But then it also sometimes gets to the point where it's like, that's ridiculous. And I'm not actually buying the seriousness or the horror of it anymore. But it skirts such a fine line right down the middle of it. And I guarantee you that there is going to be a lot of people who are like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah. There are going to be a lot of confused people, I think, because particularly in the first episode and when some fairly, tragic things are revealed about the main character, I'm kind of like, you know what? I mean, she drinks a lot of wine, but so would I. So now I'm not sure if that.
That's kind of what I really liked about it, is that it presented traumatic stuff about her, but it's presented in such a way that you're like, is that really what happened? Or is that just too far-fetched? Or is this a hallucination? And I love that it carried that through for the whole time. You're like, is this actually happening?
There is no point in time where you actually know if anything is actually happening in this entire show.
True.
The clever thing with that is that the comedy elements of it also undermine the sense of reality. So you're kind of looking at it, and at different points in time, she's drinking literally bottles of wine, and there is a mountain of corks on her bench, and it's kind of comedy, like it's hilarious how much wine she's drinking, but then you're like, I'm not sure if they're playing that for humor or if that is her view of what it's really going on,
or is it just like one of those shows where
comedy
you're like,
undermines the reality?
But is it though? That's funny, but is it though? Because that's like, I don't know, maybe it's like a millennial meme generation idea. It's like, I'm suffering trauma. Like, I did a meme about it. Kind of what the whole show is.
I think we're all there now. Let's be honest.
It's been a tough weekend.
It's
all right. Thanks for coming today, because it's been a weird weekend.
Yeah. To everybody, thank you for being a part of our little world of weird, because the big bad world of weird out there is, let's be honest, kind of fucked. So it's much nicer to be here with you people.
Yes.
The correct answer is, what do you mean, you people?
I'm not even going there.
It's a dangerous question.
Sure. Look, so Peter, tell me, why did you suggest this for us, apart from convenience, because we'd all seen it?
Literally watched it on the weekend.
And
so you watched it quite recently.
And did
you? I watched most of it on Sunday and I finished it last night.
Did you enjoy it? What was good about it?
I must have, because we weren't supposed to be talking about it, so I didn't have to watch it, did I?
No, you must have gone, okay, this is the thing I actually want to watch.
And Ryder, I feel like the last episode did kind of tip me over the edge in the ridiculous stakes to like, I'm not enjoying this level of ridiculous anymore. This has become too ridiculous for my brain to connect to any kind of humor.
Right.
But I guess aside from that, I mean, who doesn't love Kristen Bell? Like, I would watch Kristen Bell do just about anything. I think she's terrific. I think most things that I have ever seen her in have been terrific. So it seemed like a decent bet. Plus the trailers looked interesting and absurd, and I love genre play, and I love a bit of absurdity, so it kind of seemed like it would be up my alley. And then I started watching it. I was like, oh, this is weird. And then it must have been my kind of weird, because I did keep going.
Yeah.
This is actually like a good experiment of like, I wasn't forced to watch this. None of us were forced to watch this. We've all just kind of done it off our own bats, and I think we've all kind of got to the end of it, right? Did you guys finish it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also love that, like, even though it was the one that we sprung on everyone in the last minute, there's a bunch of people in the chat going, yeah, I loved it. That was a great show. Well, it was interesting. Like, watched it. And I was like, cool.
Sorry, I want to shout out to Elskanoga there. His statement, it's a surprisingly frank examination of grief and how we treat the grieving, presented in a way that's not preachy or shoved down your throat, with a rapid fire switch and thrust from drama thrilling to comedy to throw the viewer off. Did you write that? Because if that's the case,
Good
fucking
review.
hell. That's
Review done. Podcast
nailed
over.
it.
Good night, everyone. It's been great.
Yes. Holy shit.
Thank you.
And the problem is, though, it does throw the viewer off. And I feel like it might throw some viewers just completely off the show.
Sure, because it's weird.
I don't think Annalise would have kept watching it if I hadn't wanted, because we sat it down, and for me, there's always a thing of going, what's a show we can both watch, we can both enjoy. And this is one of those ones that I was like, I'm kind of enjoying this, but you look across and go, are you enjoying this? I don't know. But it took her a little longer to warm up to it, but because I think the comedy elements of it feel kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, and you're not sure whether you're meant to be laughing, but after the fourth casserole has smashed.
But now I want to chicken casserole.
These Corningware dishes,
see,
it was the third Corningware dish that got me. I was like, no, not again.
No, I
Whereas I was just like, I hope she has 20. I hope she has 20 of these Corningware dishes. She just, everywhere she goes, she's smashing them.
That was, look, this is just me. I saw, as soon as I saw her holding one of those Corningware dishes, I am like, I instantly connect with this character because my family had those Corningware dishes, and that is something that used to have casseroles in them that I would be served as a child. And I'm like, yes, obviously I connect with this character immediately. I don't know too much about the dead daughter, but I'm definitely connected to those casserole dishes.
I also kind of immediately didn't buy into the world of the show with that scene, because I had forgotten to put oven mitts on before, and one does not just ice one's hands and walk away from that situation. Like that is a very blistery situation that is going on there. So that actually made me a little bit, it took a little bit longer for me to get into the show because of that scene, because like, oh, I've done that. She's not walking away from that without bandages on her hands.
No, not at all. But then I did like the first time it happens, you're like, oh, fuck, ow, that's going to hurt. But then it keeps happening and you realize, oh, this is a gag. Oh, okay, right. And, there are all these things that are like they're trauma, but they're played in a way that's funny. And it's acted in a way that is meant to be kind of ludicrous. So, the fact that she can't cross the road when it's raining because the rain just destroys her is partially like her acting of it is kind of hammy, but the trauma of it is actually not. And it's like, this is a fucking weird balancing act of a show.
The trauma and the grief thing is really, really interesting, because that's the stuff that stops you from buying into it 100% as a comedy, because it's hard to look at that stuff in a comedic sense. And before you even find out what kind of grief she's suffering, you're seeing that I don't think unrealistic depiction of friends and neighbours basically saying, well, you just can't be sad forever.
Yeah.
You can actually. If you're a grieving person, you can. You can 100% be sad forever. And that's how some people just live. So there were some things that really kind of hit quite true in there. And then the murder mystery psychological thriller stuff starts in, and that's when it really takes a turn.
Yeah. The moment that the death, the murder, the all that starts kicking off, it becomes a different show. And every time I was watching it, I felt like there was a really strange tension between it trying to be funny and it trying to shock you.
And the thing is that Kristen Bell performs the part so well. When she's confused and panicked, that's not a comedy performance.
No.
That's quite a straight performance. So then you're really kind of buying into the character's confusion and panic, and then you're kind of buying into that character's, desire to, to not feel like a crazy person. And all of that feels quite real. So when the really kind of very ridiculous stuff starts to happen, it can be a little bit jarring, but I feel like it's on purpose jarring. Like I feel like I would have stopped watching if it didn't feel like a function of the show.
Yeah.
But also I don't watch that genre in real life. So I'm probably also missing a lot of fine points of fun poking that's being had in the parody element.
What do you mean you don't watch Real Housewives of LA or, you know?
Because I mean, this is essentially kind of what it is, isn't it? It's a parody of Desperate Housewives
No, it's a parody of like the girl on the train and like it's, you know, all of those I guess chick lit / psychological thriller, you know, novels turned movies.
Did you say
that?
Is she crazy? Is she not?
Did you say chicklet like the snack or?
Sorry, I mean literature aimed at women.
Oh, yeah, chick lit.
Yeah.
Which is all like very Rear Window, right? You know, you've got somebody witnesses a crime and then has to solve the crime themselves because the authorities won't believe that they have witnessed the crime. It's like a whole genre in itself, but you know how I feel about like crimey stuff.
Ashley Judd was in one. I always remember that one. Like you can only be tried for murder once. Or
Double Jeopardy.
Oh, that was Double Jeopardy.
Double Jeopardy, and that same. I mean, different concept, but in my head, it's the same sort of thing of like, woman must solve the crime because nobody else believes her because a woman who is upset is never to be believed. And that's
basically,
and that's kind of what this is getting at, is this constant concept that if you are an emotional woman, you are potentially a crazy person, hysterical.
No, you don't even have to be an emotional woman. You just need to be a woman. And then people are like, "Oh, I don't know. Are you emotional?" It's like,
no.
Oh, you sound emotional.
Yeah.
What is this? Meanwhile, I'm going to cry. Listen to me as a man.
So I like the way, because it had a little, not the same thing as the Tiger King or whatever, but it had that thing of you getting to the end.
Sorry, I was like, wow, okay.
Bear with me.
I draw some pretty strange lines between things, Quinny, when I talk, but Tiger King and this is two things I don't see where they line up.
In the sense that at the end of each episode, there was a thing that you went, what? And that was enough to kind of bring you to the next thing.
What a twist.
The little hooks and the tags and the twists and everything at the end of each half hour was enough to kind of go, I kind of want to watch another one. Yeah. It's funny. I had a little feeling with it. So obviously Kristen Bell, you look at it and there are a couple of touchstones that you come back to. Veronica Mars and in more recent years, The Good Place. And even though it's a different actor, I couldn't help but looking at her husband in this and just going, is this the next really bad place?
I know.
Is this a reincarnation of Chitty?
Like, this could have just been like Veronica Mars, the actual sequel. Like it would have made a pretty good sequel to Veronica Mars if they just stopped at the TV show and then didn't come back for that other season. Because it would have just been like, oh, Veronica's now an alcoholic because of more trauma and she doesn't talk to anyone in her past life and she lives in the suburbs. Anyway, she's drinking and taking pills.
Yeah.
Let's check back in with Veronica. She's solving another crime.
Because her daughter was eaten.
I mean, and that's a whole thing. I don't know if we'll get to that in Spoilerville, but
yeah, Quinny.
That's a whole thing.
It was in the synopsis I read. So
was it?
You know, yes, it was. But you know, there are these things in it that, like, there are obvious things of going, this is real trauma. This is somebody dealing with real problems, and this is the way that they are dealing with it through unhealthy coping mechanisms. You know, drinking and/or prescription medication. They're trying to deal with it with a therapist. But also, even the therapist relationship isn't healthy.
No.
And then, you've that feels kind of real and grounded. And then you get the storyline as to what happened to cause the trauma, and you're like, really?
Yeah, but you go, really? Because it's like
But that is the disconcerting thing about the show, because the performances are also good and often played quite straight. It is circling themes of trauma and the feeling of being disbelieved, particularly if you're a woman, and all of that stuff that you really start to kind of buy into in quite a straight drama way, and then like a plot point will fly at you that's like, oh wait, no, that's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And it's a weird vibe. It's hard. It's an odd one to pull those two kind of feelings together, because every time you start really kind of getting drawn into the plot and the characters, it then kind of reminds you that, oh, by the way, this is completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, it's still a comedy, folks. It's like, wait, no. It's been
very dark comedy.
Yeah.
Very dark.
You've been doing some very straight shooting for a while, and then you're like, but it's a joke. You're like, but is it though? But is it a joke? Because this is not really a joke, and that was horrifying, the thing that I just saw.
So Freddy Kanker is asking if we doubt the main character just as much as the neighbours and friends do, and that is kind of the point. There is literally no point in this entire show, right up until the very last scene, that I am fully certain that what we're seeing isn't a hallucination. Not one point.
Yeah, and that's kind of
from the very beginning till the very last scene.
Yeah, even in the very last scene, I was like, really though?
Yeah.
Did that actually happen?
Like when the plot is resolved, I'm still sitting there thinking, but really?
Yeah.
We're just gonna wake up from this? Like this is not.
And when they start the prequel, I was like, really though? Are you sure she's not just still on the couch drinking?
But I feel like that is really kind of the point, because I feel like what I have seen of this genre that it's taking on, like often like you stretch for such a big twist at the end that you're like, really? It was that person the whole time? Really?
Yeah.
So like it's just that is a clever play on the genre that it has taken on. It's just that I spent the entire series doing that whole time.
Yeah, and also, and it wants you to at all points in time question: is it the friend? Is it the neighbor? Is it the handyman? Is it the lovable? Is it the guy that is so hot that or is it the other guy? And all of these things are constantly making you question the reality of it and who's going to be the bad guy.
But also the fact that she does have genuine hallucinations as part of the plot as well. So there are a few times where something is happening and then it is revealed in her realm of understanding to be an actual hallucination. So it just really keeps you fully off balance for the entire thing, which then kind of means that you need to kind of lean in and just enjoy the ride. Essentially.
Yeah, and I found that's what I ended up having to do is stop. Like if I was watching and a thing made me go, huh, because it was stupid, I was pretty sure that the show intended that, and stop questioning it or stop going, that was a dumb fucking thing. Because if it was a dumb fucking thing, it was probably intentional. Like and things like there's a handyman who's just always around. And I was kind of like, huh, that's dumb. And then you go, oh no, it's right. So what it feels like is a dumb TV show that's actually very smart, and is playing with you all the way through, which is very clever. Is it a comfortable watch? That I'm not sure of. But then again, did we want a comfortable watch?
No. Look, interestingly, I think we could get wrapped up in this for a while. Do you want to do a quick rating and then move on to a clip, and then we'll come back and talk spoilery time?
Yeah, because a lot of the most ridiculous things are very spoilery, and we just have to say them out loud.
Yeah.
Like dead child Quinny.
Sorry,
it was in the synopsis.
Yeah,
but it wasn't a good synopsis. Come on.
Okay. Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm the bad guy.
You rate it then, Quinny.
It is a mid-first step reveal. It's not that bad a spoiler.
Yeah. Okay. Oh shit. Because
Fuck, it's not that hard.
it is though. Because is it good? Probably. It's weird and it sits in a really uncomfortable place. So I think it's probably very smart and it's probably doing a lot of very, very clever things. But also there are many times where you're like, I'm not sure that I'm enjoying watching this.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a 70. I do think it's very clever. And I think it's very well made and it's sort of, it hits very clever notes and everything like that. But as I said, right towards the start, there are plenty of times where I think the comedy is doing part of the job of making you question reality. And I'm not sure whether it's always meant to. I don't know. I'd love to have been in the fucking writer's room for it to see whether they are, you know, utter geniuses or whether they're just going, wouldn't it be funny if this happens? Huh?
I don't know. I feel like everything it did on purpose. I feel like the increasing ridiculousness of the plot points and reveals were by design, and it didn't bother me until the last episode where it tipped over the edge of ridiculous for me. But up until then, I was pretty, I guess, into the characters, weirded out by the style, but not in a way that made me want to stop watching it. So maybe that's a good thing because, I don't know, it's kind of good to be served something a little bit different. And also, Kristen Bell. So I think I'll give it a 74.
Oh,
wow.
What?
I don't.
The chat is liking it more than we did.
That's good. Like,
yeah.
I like
well,
it.
I don't know. It's just the last episode kind of just tipped past my personal sense of
Believability
humor.
point.
That's all. It's
Yeah,
hard
right.
it's hard with comedy, right? Because sense of humor is completely objective.
Yeah.
And I'm not into super obvious parodies like the scary movies and that kind of thing. And I feel like maybe the last episode tipped that for me.
Gotcha.
Fair enough.
Yeah, right. No, that's fair. Okay, Dion, do you have a numerical value?
75.
75?
A solid 3/4. That's what I'm going to call it. It's a solid 3/4. Yeah, because like some of it's relatively difficult to be accessible after you have to stick with it and go through. Like if you just watch the first episode and then put it down and didn't continue with it, I find you might have a bit of an issue trying to get into it again. Like I understand some people starting watching it and not finishing it because they just get distracted and then put in something else that was in there. But look, you know, it's an interesting theme. They present it really well. I love that they just keep you guessing about whether or not this is actually happening the whole time, which made that like really more enjoyable. But again, yeah, the ending is just that thing where I'm like, but really, you know, and those are the sorts of things where I was like, look, okay, it's going away a little bit. But honestly, this is really a Kristen Bell vehicle. And it would be easy for someone else to fail with it. Like I can see that if they didn't have someone who was capable of doing it, it's very sketchy. It's like, unless you've got someone like that, it's going to fail. So,
yeah.
And that is always like a little bit telling, you know, it's not really about the writing of it. I don't know if it is as strong without having a good lead.
Yeah. And Blue MM in the chat, it's like it was confusing. You couldn't tell if Kristen Bell was acting well or acting badly. And that's very upsetting. And I know what he means.
Yeah. It's exactly like the Nicolas Cage problem. You watch Nicolas Cage and you're like, is it good or is it terrible? I don't know. Which, you know, like how can you pull this range of acting out? Like, you know, Nicolas Cage needs to be taught in drama school as here is someone who can pull the best performance you've ever seen on one day and then on another day just pull the worst performance you've ever seen.
And the thing is, they could be the same performance.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
It's just the film that's around them that's the difference.
Yeah, it's so strange.
I feel like that might be the difference between her playing it quite straight sometimes in the more dramatic moments, and parodying a particular kind of character and depiction in other moments.
All right,
Agreed.
well, let's go and have a little look at a clip, and then we shall come back and talk about more spoilery things to explain what is this show about. I hear a woman's daughter got eaten. Why should I watch this?
Same 4 photos. Well, at least I'm not the only one that hasn't moved on. No wife?
Ooh, no wife? Maybe I could insert myself into that person's life. No? Well, yeah, that gives you a bit of an idea about some of the weird background stuff. You can tell she drinks a lot. She's alone.
Yeah.
She has a hot neighbor who moves in across the way and starts to become, fantasize about, getting into a relationship and rebuilding her life. And then something happens weirdly where she thinks she sees a murder occurring in the house across the street, being the woman in the house across the street from the girl in the window. Where she starts to think something's gone wrong, but they can't find any proof. And people think that, oh no, she's just the pill popping alcoholic woman who's had a past trauma. We don't really want to believe her. And then things start to go really weird.
Yeah. So where did the things either start working for you or not work for you, Pete? Because there are some, obviously the daughter being eaten thing.
Which
we're in
daughter?
spoiler territory now.
The daughter across the street, is she the girl in the window, or is she the girl that we just saw in that clip, or is she another girl altogether?
Well, the daughter across the street does not get murdered. The girlfriend across the street gets murdered.
Oh, spoiler! He has a girlfriend, and Kristen Bell doesn't. I'm
just sorry. Have you put the spoiler logo up?
Of course, I have. Right
yeah.
There.
You're
waving.
So
you're doing this.
So many
thing.
spoilers right now, guys. And I would say, if you haven't watched it, maybe don't listen to the spoilers, because the increasing ridiculousness of unfolding plot points is kind of part of the fun of the series.
Yeah, that is what you're watching for.
Yeah. So yes, the daughter getting eaten was a bit where, it given up until then, it's hard to tell when you're first watching it, except for the title, that whether it's supposed to be a serious story about a person experiencing grief, and during their experience of grief, having problems with substance abuse and loneliness and all kinds of normal things. And then we get to the story of what happened to the daughter. It is so utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the way it's depicted is so, again, fairly straight, to be honest. I guess in a very, very dark comedy way, that the husband, who is a forensic psychologist, has a take your daughter to work day. And
Which, just the mere concept of that.
Well, I really love it because they set Kristen Bell's character up as an unreliable. Well, everyone, all the supporting cast believe that she's an unreliable narrator. Okay.
So does the audience.
Yeah, but that's what I think is the genius of it. Everyone in the show goes, she's an unreliable narrator. She's got problems, so you can't really believe what she says. And then the show starts throwing stuff at you that you go, well, that's a lie. And like that is a barefaced lie, but they just present it as the truth and they never confirm or deny it. And that's what makes you start going, wait, is she an unreliable narrator? Like,
and you get to the end of
happen?
that bring your daughter to work day story, and you're like, okay, and now we're going to find out that that's not what happened, because that's ridiculous. And not only does that not happen, in a couple of episodes further in, other characters start confirming that indeed this is what happened. And you're like, okay, I guess that's what they're going with. That's that is what they're going with. That's a forensic psychiatrist took his daughter to work to a prison, into an interview room with a serial killer, and then left her there and allowed her to get locked in. And that seems plausible. That's fine.
Yeah.
There were kind of lots of moments like that, but I feel like that was the biggest one until the last episode.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's probably the one that makes that stretches the bounds of reality and makes you go, oh yeah, no, we're definitely in parody.
I kind of love how it makes you take a leap of faith to believe the ridiculous situations that have been presented to you along the way, which do start making sense. So it's like you start believing her as a good and honest person as you find out about all the things that go in the background. And then it's just the last episode where it's like, yeah, but not maybe, I don't know. Here's the situation that we're going to say happened and you're going to go along with that. And I was just sitting there going, no, like even the fight scene at the end, like, yeah, and there's a fight scene in this one.
So are we going straight to that?
Oh, I just want to,
look,
I just want to say, like, this show is presented as kind of like, here's Kristen Bell, she drinks, she may have seen a murder, blah, blah, blah. It's a mystery. It also has some pretty horrific, like, murders in it. It has some great body horror, and it has fight scenes, and it has some pretty good stunts in it to, like, of just seeing what happened to people and, like, interesting, horrific murders. And I'm kind of like, this is low-key doing opposite of what you presented. It's kind of like, and I kind of call it the reverse Drive theory. Like, and Drive, I'm talking about the movie Drive starring what was that guy that doesn't say much?
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling. Where that trailer presented Drive as a very different movie and threw a bunch of people looking for like the next Steve McQueen Bullet sequel, modern day Bullet, and then it was just not that at all. This one is just kind of like, oh, it's a murder mystery. There's a lot of body horror and death in this that I wasn't ready for. You know?
Yeah.
Yes, a couple of times I was just watching it. I'm like, oh, whoa, oh, ow, whoa, okay, no thanks. Like I like, and I love that bit. Did you guys like that bit with Buell? The handy person, the nail. Like it was that just super creepy. Like Buell is the handy person that is helping out around the house to sort of fix things, but we all kind of understand that he has a learning disability. And
when he's introduced, but also there is most of the series before he really gets a full introduction, and through most of it, you just see him fixing the same letterbox.
Over and over.
5 episodes in a row.
Just constantly.
That was one of those things I was like, hang on, is this an indicator that maybe you're going to be a bad guy at the end?
And it kind of does. It throws everything out there. But I just love that one bit where he accidentally has nail gunned his hand and he's like, oh, there's a nail in it. And he just like pulls very slowly out a 9-inch nail. And then you're like, and then just like, huh. And everyone else is like, that's not right. He's like, oh, this sort of stuff happens. And then you find out all the other interesting shit about Buell. Which is also amazing.
The Buell thing, fixing the mailbox 5 episodes in a row, was an indicator of like, is any of this real?
Yeah.
Like we've had this like one guy just out there like doing the exact same activity for every single scene where she's walked past the front of her house. And she's broken 3 identical casserole dishes.
Yes.
Like, is any of this real, or is this
the neighbour that can just appear out of nowhere? You know, and you know they'll go and have a lovely mani-pedi day or whatever. But that neighbour could just go and be virtually in the house, and you're like, okay, cool.
That kind of like weird WandaVision-y thing where you kind of like, what is this world? Am I supposed to believe that any of this world is a real world? which again, I feel like was intentional.
Oh yeah, even things where like there's this constant backwards and forwards where you're trying to work out whether the dude over the road, the over the road male neighbor that she's excited to get sexy with,
the man across the street who had the girl in the window that the woman in the house saw.
Yes, from the Court of King Caraticus. He is constantly shifting from either being a great father to a bad father to a grieving widow to somebody who's just, hooked up with some evil chick to a murderer to possibly just being a good father again to at one point a fucking ventriloquist. And you're like, what is real?
Like this, yeah. What is line? What is cast? What is character? There is a lot of that. Like, I love that it just turns. It takes all of these supporting characters and gives them a twist in a way that it's like, yeah, and then this happens. And you're like, I don't believe anyone. I don't believe anyone in this show is doing anything that they say they're doing, and that makes it very difficult to follow along and figure out who you're supposed to be supporting or rooting for. And then when you find out the person that you thought you were supposed to be rooting for or sympathetic to is not that person again, you're like, I don't like any of this show. I don't know who am I supposed to like.
Maybe uncomfortable.
Yeah. And then you do get to that last episode. Is she just in a mental hospital? No.
She could be. Like, this is the thing.
But
like,
you don't know.
I love that
you
most
could very
of this,
easily get to the last episode and find that, it was all a
every
dream.
single one of these scenarios could easily be answered by her waking up on the couch in the morning after drinking a whole bottle of wine and taking pills. And that's kind of where it's quite successful, because you're always expecting her to wake up and be like, oh, it was all a dream. It's going to be the Scooby-Doo ending. And then it never does. And you're like, wait, what?
Particularly for me, it was the last quarter of the last episode where she's woken up in the hospital bed and the investigator has come in and apologized and told her she was right about everything, and the husband has come in and it's lovely, and then the neighbor has come in and apologized, and I'm like, she's 100% just going to wake up on the floor of a prison, at this stage. Because again, like I'm reading it through the lens of things that make sense, but from the parody point of view, that is how these things end. The person who saw the thing and was disbelieved is eventually vindicated, and everyone says, "Oh, you were right all along." It's just because it's so ridiculous as how far they've taken it. It feels like a weird hat to put on it.
It does, and there's also that really weird kind of question mark of when they're in the hotel, not the hotel, sorry, the hospital, and it's all over, and you also know that in horror films and stuff like that, there's meant to be one last thing where the bad guy reappears and has another go at trying to kill them, and you kind of like, am I expecting that now? And are all of these characters that are coming into the room going to eventually just reveal themselves and say, no, it wasn't such and such, it was actually me, and now I'm going to try and kill you in your bed? And you're like, is that a comedy thing, or is it, playing with the trope?
I think it's a good way. Like, it plays with a lot of tropes because it keeps confusing you. Like, the good old Scream Factory, as I call it, which was just Scream playing out all the tropes of horror movies and redoing them again in that kind of a way, by going, hey, we're actually going to present you with every single plot twist and turn early in the movie, and then it's going to happen later on because we've made you forget about all of those. This is one of those shows that goes, it's a mystery, and we're just going to keep twisting things and making everything kind of keeping you on your toes so much that you still won't believe it by the end. And I mean, if that's what they set out to do, if they set out to make a mystery television show that even with the end of it, you're still not sure what the answer is, they've done very well. It's hard to confuse. Like, I mean, it's hard to keep someone's interest and then keep confusing them. And like, I was confused. I'm still confused by the end. I'm like, I don't know. They could just start season 2 and be like, it was all a dream. And I'd be like, sure, where are we going now, guys? Like, are we going back? Is she going into the back?
Turns out the homicidal 5-year-old is actually her daughter, risen from the grave. And
Absolutely. I would have been like, fine.
10-year-old or however old you were.
Yeah, I know. Well, big spoilers there for that bit, but okay.
We're in the spoiler section.
Sure. All right. Yeah. Go for it there. Like, I mean, yeah, by keeping to present everyone as like, who is the murderer or who is the person who keeps offing all of these people, and then present it as the stupidest one, and then present a very reasonable explanation of how that character could kill everyone. And I'm like, no, there's still no.
So was that the thing that really made you lose the grip on reality, Pete? Like, or
no, it was the fight scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what I thought.
That scene is what pushed me over the edge.
Yeah, it's like that thing. It's like, could you take on 10 5-year-olds or 5 10-year-olds? And I'm like, either one, I'd take them all. Because I'm just going to be like, you know, a kid like that, you just pick it up and get rid of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
They obviously had a lot of fun doing something that is extremely taboo. In that scene, and kind of getting away with it in terms of the taboo nature of it, but not so much getting away with it in that, like, you guys lost me there. Like, it's just took it too far. One step too far, and not even that the fight scene happened, but that she couldn't easily win it. Like, there is a size issue there. That's like this is not a superpowered.
No, this is not a supernatural kind of thing. It's
but again, like the final fight scene in this particular genre, if it was with a less ridiculous opponent, would look something like that. So,
yeah, true. I just find it weird that she could get the rest of them as well. I mean, look, it's okay. Maybe she had cirrhosis of the liver, and that was actually affecting her. She had jaundice that she was covering with makeup.
So weak.
And just very weak and tweak.
I'm sorry. I really want to shout out to Elska Noga in the chat there. Dropping some fucking truth bombs there, Chief.
Sure.
Yes. The show is broadly an examination of reality, but I think he's right that it does look at the coping mechanisms that we use, a la alcohol and prescription medication. And that is like, I'm doing a thing with work at the moment that is all about addiction, and I'm interviewing people with different addictions and stuff like that, and how often mental illness crosses over or is, you know, right alongside addiction and prescription medication, which is meant to try and help the problem. But, you know, if you're not being careful, it then interacts with the alcohol, which people are self-medicating with. And I think you're right. Maybe the creators do want to make a point about that in some way, shape, or form here. Maybe. I don't know.
Sure. Or that everyone really needs a good, tasty chicken casserole to get them through the hard times.
Did anyone get to eat a casserole at any point? I can't remember.
Oh, no, I think somebody...
one of the cops ate some casserole, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. The cops come into the house and they're like, oh, yeah, I'll get to eat some of your casserole. And you're like, what the fuck? There's a potential killer in the cupboard, but yeah, eat your casserole. Cool.
Come on, that's just part of the weird.
It is.
I just like that. It's just part of the weird.
So what I recommend, like, I'm just trying to think who I would recommend watch this. And I think that I wouldn't recommend it to anybody who doesn't have a high tolerance for things are a little bit different. You know, I wouldn't recommend it to somebody who frequently says the phrase, that was a bit weird to me when that was very interesting. You recommend some strange shows, Peter. That's basically just my dad.
Oh, right.
I wouldn't recommend it to my dad.
What do you mean? Doom Patrol's normal.
Yeah.
My mum liked Doom Patrol better than my dad. But they both gave it a go, and I really appreciate and respect that. But I would probably recommend this to anyone who is a fan of this particular genre, because you'll get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
Anyone who's a fan of Kristen Bell, because of course. And yeah, possibly not if you're still in Ted Lasso mode at the moment, because some heavy themes.
Yeah, it's not a happiness factor, but it is one of those ones that's like, do you want to be confused by this mystery? Do you want to?
Yeah.
Would you like a load of self-doubt? I mean, sure, the world's weird at the moment, but do you want more self-doubt? Because you
Go on.
sort of go
Yeah.
on.
Have a big bottle of it. The bottle may not even be real.
Yes, it's not even real. You're not even watching television. It's a horror. Nah.
Yeah.
It's actually a ghost story. Nah.
Ah. Somebody lives in the, and there are so many of those things that they set up really early on.
Yeah.
Like, you know, somebody's in the house and somebody's, you know, that are tropey that they then pay off later, and you're like, like, I would love to see the writing process because it's very smart, but I'm just sometimes not sure if it's too smart.
It is, and I think that's kind of like that's kind of what I say. Like, I mean, rather than actually present Kristen Bell as it's like, sorry, I keep saying Kristen Bell. It's not Kristen Bell. It's Anna.
It's Kristen.
Anna.
Oh,
as a
the
character.
Right.
Yes, Anna as a character is someone who has a faith in herself, but she's also lost faith in herself, and she's trying to reclaim it, and yet she keeps getting presented with people who don't have faith in her. And then she starts to have her own self-doubt even when she's presented with reality. And then that's also complicated by the fact that is it pills and alcohol, and you know, how is she going down this weird like way of like things start looking up and then things go terribly bad, and she starts like she's just in this terrible kind of situation where she can't get out of it, and then she finds sort of a way to get out of it by having faith in herself and what she's seen and what she wants to do. And then by the end of it, she just goes, I was wrong. And everyone was wrong. But there was still something wrong. Do you get it? Anyway, I'm on a plane. And so like, you know, it's kind of like what would I call it? It's kind of like pill popping alcoholic Miss what are those? Not Miss Maples. Miss Marple mysteries. Yeah, this is kind of like this would be a very interesting like if she kept coming back to be Anna the crime solver like Miss Marple, but every season was like this. That would be hilarious. I think that
I
would
would
just
watch
be
the
funny.
shit out of that.
It's like she goes around the world and solves mysteries, you know, or murders.
But nobody will believe her about until the last episode.
Yeah.
But she'll also do it mostly drunk or potentially on drugs.
Yeah. I did like that. Like that was that at the end there where she's like, oh no, I don't drink wine anymore. I'll have a vodka.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That gave me a bit of a lull.
Yeah.
It is
I
quite
liked
fun.
it.
Yeah. Oh dear. Oh well, look. I mean, yeah.
I think we've covered it.
Yeah, look, I recommend
to
it.
the people who've
Go
already
watch it.
left because they want to watch it. Great.
Yeah.
Those of you that stuck around, now you know kind of what's going to happen. But I'd still say, you know what, give it a look. It's fun.
Yeah, it's
Very
weird. Like, you know, you might have to sit down for a little bit. Yeah, but it's just kind of like it's a good binge watch. If it's raining, which seems to be at the moment everywhere.
Yeah.
You got to be stuck inside to watch something. Please watch this. It'll entertain you or make you self-doubt everything. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's not like we don't have enough self-doubt in the world at the moment.
Well, speaking of things, there's stuff going on.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to kind of we didn't watch Cobra Kai because of many different reasons, but one of the reasons is the world is in a bit of a fucking state right about now.
Sure. The world in general is in a bit of a state right now, and Australia is in a bit of a state right now, and it looks like it's only going to get slightly worse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully things will improve in the near future. But
Absolutely.
to the people who are in Queensland and northern New South Wales, who and wherever the water is continuing to flow, we want to shout out to you because I saw Doc Forrest has joined the chat, and I know that Doc is in Brisbane. You know, we've got people here who have got friends and family in Tweed and where else?
Northern New South Wales, Gold Coast,
Yeah.
currently affected flood areas.
Yeah. So we really want to say, look, stay safe, stay dry, but also if you're wondering what you can do to help, because I think everybody is wondering that. Definitely people who know anyone who knows anyone in the Lismore area. Yeah. if you're wondering how you can help, there are a lot of different ways. We strongly advise against donating to Peter Dutton's fucking GoFundMe because fuck that guy.
Don't do that. Where can you donate, Quinny?
Okay, in the chat, I have put the link for the State Emergency Service of New South Wales. There is, of course, a SES for Queensland as well. That is their donation page there. I think, well, we all, I think, agree that the people who are really putting in the hard yards at the moment are the people in the SES and who are out there in the rain, in the boats.
Yep. The regular people out there
people.
trying to rescue people and to clean up, and they're going to have to do it for weeks and months and years. And there is a lot of people. I remember I got out there because I was in Brisbane in the 2011 floods. And as soon as I saw all the flooding happen again, when I was, the only thing I can remember, the first memory that came back is the smell. Like, it's terrible when the water's going through, but if you're dry, you're okay. And then afterwards is just the smell for months. It gets in, it's pervasive. But yeah, look, donate to anywhere that you can donate if you can't get there to help out. Like, also follow directions, don't drive in flood water, prepare, donate food, donate money, donate what you can, donate time.
I've also put in the chat links there for the RSPCA as well.
Yes, let's not forget animals drowning.
Like it's huge and it is horrible, and you see it on the news and it is just quite gobsmacking. So please look out for your fellow nerds and everybody.
And everyone. And where else can you go, depending on that other thing that's happening worldwide, Quinny? There seems to be a bit of a conflict. And if you've got any other spare money after all of that, you could always donate it to the Crisis Relief UN Fund for Ukraine. If you happen to have any more spoons.
There's a lot. I mean, the UN Crisis Relief one is great. I personally have one that I like, just because I've seen some of the work that they're doing. It's called the World Central Kitchen. They're a bunch of chefs who fly all over the world to conflict zones and everything, and quite literally just cook. They cook food, hot food, healthy food for people that need it. And they're currently on the borders to Poland and out of the Ukraine.
Everyone currently displaced. They just need food, need to keep people alive. That's all.
So, I mean, we've had a nice episode talking about weird, dumb shit, but also we exist in the world.
You don't need to doubt. You don't need to doubt the resolve of everyone doing it tough at the moment, and you can support them. That's not fake news. That's real news. How's that?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, I was going to say, what are we doing next week? But we don't know.
Good question.
We didn't even know what we were doing this week. I was expecting a lot, Dion.
I mean, look, I could just say we're doing Cobra Kai again, and you've already done the reason. So you're already off the hook. But we will have to get the schedule out. But there's been a lot going on. So, maybe we might take 2 or 3 days. Send us an email. Write us a post. Tell us what you would like us to review. I know that, Quinny, you have seen Uncharted, haven't you?
So in the last 2 weeks, I've seen a couple of films. I've actually been in the cinemas and watched films. I went and watched Uncharted.
I forgot. I think we all completely forgot that the Batman. It's tonight. The preview screenings tonight.
There were preview screenings last week.
Yeah, last week and everything. So that's good. But honestly, I'm just happy to not be doing a superhero thing at the moment.
Yeah,
I'm all Star Wars and superheroed out at the moment. It's a bit of this, the woman in the house across the street from the girl in the rear window has been a nice panacea.
You could always dip into some Euphoria, so you can talk to me about it, Dion.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
That option is there.
That's nowhere near happening. And good point there, Doc. Thanks for bringing that up. Quinny, what are you doing this weekend?
Well, that's a really good question. Doc Forrest, I'm seeing him apparently. So if the flood waters have subsided enough and Logan/Beanley is in a state of readiness that will allow a convention to happen, I will be in Brisbane at the Logan/Beanley Convention Centre on Saturday for a convention called AkuCon, or Akacon. Sorry, I've got to get the name right. The business that is running it is a business called Let's Go Akamaru. They're a anime and all things weeby kind of store, and this is their first convention that they're trying to run. And Rain, who is the person driving the bus on this one, is amazing. I love their attitude to things, and I'm very excited to be working for a different convention and doing something new and a little different. And we're going to be talking to a bunch of the different artists that are there. I think we're going to be talking to Spike Spencer over the internet, because he was going to be a convention guest in person, but then he went back to America because, he's been stuck here for 2 years.
Yeah, fair enough. You're allowed to return home.
Yeah.
And happy Mardi Gras to everyone on the weekend.
Oh, shit, yes.
So many things to look forward to. I hope you have a good COVID-safe weekend in Sydney, if it doesn't get flooded out.
Yes.
Which way?
Yes.
Fingers crossed.
At some point in time, I will actually write reviews. There may be short reviews, but my review of Uncharted and also of Studio 666.
Uncharted,
which I saw this week.
Fine. 6 out of 100.
Studio 666, 10 out of 10 Dave Grohls. Mostly just because it's Foo Fighters. Is it a good film? Nah.
I haven't seen those either. But yeah, we'll get back to it and put up the schedule for the week. I see Beforeigners was mentioned earlier. That's obviously something I've got to watch. Yes, I know.
I've watched it a couple of episodes thus far, and I'm rather enjoying it. So you know what?
Beforeigners. While we're all just waiting for the Obi-Wan series to start in May.
I'm personally waiting for Moon Knight at the end of March, but whatever.
Sure.
I'm also waiting for Patrick Stewart in Picard on March 4th. There's a heap of shit coming out in the next 2 days. We're gonna be busy. So.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks for the unscheduled pit stop in the woman in the house across the street from the girl in the window with the dragon tattoo. While we work out what we're doing in March, but some stuff's happening, so we're a bit all over the shop. Should we go and head off? And who should we go and raid? Anyone? Queenie?
Yeah, look, I noticed that Jordan is out and about and doing her wonderful Jordan thing. So
I
quite enjoyed. It looks like everybody else is playing Elden Ring. So let's just go.
I quite enjoyed Jordan's review, or not posting about Destiny 2: The Witch Queen on social medias. Yes, you should seek it out. That's also perhaps play Destiny 2. I play Destiny 2. It's been fun. Peter,
I haven't seen Dion for about a week.
No, untrue. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Right. Thanks, everybody.
Stay safe. Stay dry. Stay safe.
And good night.
Bye.
Where's that?
I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not sit here counting zeros in a cubicle downtown. I wanna look out my window, see 'em flying, and swing across the horizon as I cheer 'em on so proud. See, powered girl keep staring at her face, and call Colossus and have 'em teach me ways, and then we'd exercise. I'd be one of the guys. Martial arts from iron fist and wall. I'll dance her up and teach her all my songs. Oh, I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not cooking up these heroes at my parents' restaurant now. I wanna yell out Avengers assemble, not order up for Ethel. Yeah, we're right up cheeky now. Date Emma Frost and have her read my mind. Or Magdalena, her artifacts I find, and then we catch a